Hi, I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, and building strong relationships through the lens of self-government. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about handling narcissistic behavior in children. The more society talks about narcissism, the more we are seeing narcissism around us. And we do have to be careful about that because we shouldn't be diagnosing everybody with narcissism, because some people are just making poor choices and have some bad behavior that they need to overcome. Let's talk about narcissism in children, what it's possibly looking like, and what we can do to make a difference for those children so that possibly we can make it so they don't have narcissism in their adult lives. It's really important to understand that most therapists and psychologists will agree that even though there are certain behaviors that relate to narcissism, they're not usually going to diagnose a child with being a narcissist, okay? So that's important. That means that we shouldn't be calling our children narcissists either. We should say that's a narcissistic behavior that could be trending toward narcissism, but that doesn't mean that the person is a narcissist. And of course, someone would need to be officially diagnosed to really declare someone as a narcissist. When it comes to children, let's just examine the behavior and see if we can determine what we can do to help the child instead of giving them a label anyway, because labeling doesn't do much good for children. It might give us a knowledge of something that we might be working with, but it really doesn't help them in any way. No matter what a person is dealing with as far as their processing goes, it's important to recognize that making a plan, having concrete skills, and some good consistent follow through is really what is required, no matter the circumstance. So let's talk about what some of these maybe narcissistic looking behavior probably look like. Children who are often labeled as narcissistic often have the air of not caring. They don't care about their parents. They don't care what they say. They don't care about their siblings. They don't care. They just want what they want, and they will do anything to get it, okay? So they'll manipulate, they'll hurt people, they'll try to physically, bodily hurt somebody and act like they don't care. Now, keeping in mind, there are three different levels of narcissism. So there's your basic narcissist, and then there's the sociopath, and then there's the psychopath. The sociopath and the psychopath have more of a tendency to get physical with someone and feel like they really enjoy that. But I want you to know that sometimes just a strong-willed, oppositional, defiant person could start looking like they're doing some of those same behaviors just because they don't know how to handle their situation. They want to be heard and understood, and they don't know anything else to do. So a lot of opposition, a lot of defiance, a lot of strong-willed tendencies, a lot of manipulation. Those are things that often have people start thinking about narcissism. And so that's when people will say, well, that's a narcissistic type behavior. That doesn't necessarily mean, again, that the person is a narcissist, but, keeping that in mind, that's what type of words that you might hear. If you have a child that is displaying narcissistic tendencies or some behaviors that had you thinking about narcissism, keep in mind that it is not too late to change some of those tendencies and those behaviors. Now, of course, our personalities have a lot to do with why we behave certain ways, and the way we process has a lot to do with why we behave certain ways. And people with processing differences such as autism spectrum, different sensory issues, oppositional defiance, like real reactive attachment, those types of things, those people have a tendency to end up being narcissists later in life. So if you have a child who's dealing with situations like that with their processing, then you want to even be more on the alert and making sure that you are consistently nipping all the little things that need to be nipped so that they don't end up entitled in their behavior. When they end up entitled in their negative behavior and nobody does anything about it, that is the recipe for creating a narcissistic way of living. So watch that with your children. This means we definitely do not want to coddle or spoil children. Those are things that lead to additional narcissistic tendencies. Also, don't overreact to problems that children are having. So when you have a child that has a misbehavior, talk just about the specific little misbehavior and don't chalk it up to more. Don't villainize the child or make the child feel like this is part of a bigger problem that they have yet to discover about themselves. Those types of things that increase the anxiety in a child are not going to be helpful at solving some of those problems that seem like attitude problems or maybe even going toward narcissism. I'm going to talk to you about a process that you can implement in your home and in your lives to help your child steer away from some of those narcissistic tendencies that you might have noticed. But before I do that, click on the subscribe button. This channel is dedicated to helping your family improve their relationships, their communication, and to create successful paths for all of the children. You will not want to miss the videos that come out here. So click the subscribe button now, and don't forget to also click that notification bell so that you don't miss the videos when they come out. A super important piece in handling narcissism in children is making sure that you keep the roles in the right place. This means that the child will have a better success at being teachable instead of just trending toward being controlling. So when a parent teaches their child certain skills, like we teach in the Teaching Self-Government program, skills like following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately, and then follows through on those skills to make sure that they correct the child when those skills aren't used, and they praise the child when things go well, then that child is able to learn cause and effect. Through that parental authority, they get the skill development that they need to communicate more effectively, which hopefully will deter the manipulation tendency that they might have because of some of their other processing things that they might be dealing with. So I guess one of the big things that we need to remember is we've got to start young, training our children how to communicate and relate to other people and how to respect and care about other people too. Those are important things for helping our children not turn into narcissists. When a person learns self-government, they learn to analyze themselves. They learn the cause and effect of any given situation, and then they possess a knowledge of their own behaviors so that they can control themselves. This is the recipe for true freedom. Now, a narcissist thinks freedom is having control or power over other people. Learning self-government is recognizing that true freedom is having control over yourself, meaning that you are in control of yourself. You're making deliberate decisions for the way that you want to behave and interact with other people. So this is true power. And actually, the narcissist is afraid of this kind of power. So the children who don't want to control themselves at all, but just want to keep controlling other people, those are definitely the ones that could trend toward narcissism. So all the more reason you have to be really consistent in correcting them, pointing out what true power is, true freedom is. You've got to do that type of teaching again and again. We really have to be deliberate and consistent in all of that teaching. When we are correcting our children, it's super important that we do not try to drop a power hammer on them. So no power struggles. We shouldn't need power struggles. Everything should come back to principle. The thing you have to remember about a person who is a true narcissist is everything they are doing is power struggling. So how do we fix the problems without a power struggle? Let's talk about that. Years ago, when I did treatment foster care for troubled teens, all between the ages of 12 and 18, I had to master how to correct them in a calm and effective way. Many of them had multiple behaviors that you would think would make them turn into narcissists. And I can honestly say I'm so grateful to see that so many of the youth that came through my home that I've been able to follow up on later did not end up turning into adult narcissists. But they actually learned to take ownership of their own behavior. And a lot of that was due in part to the fact that we would consistently correct them. And those corrections were always done in a calm and loving manner, but they were very firm and consistent. So to correct a child calmly, you describe the situation. So I always say something like, just now I gave you an instruction to go and clean your room and you wouldn't look at me, or you didn't keep a calm face, voice, and body. You didn't do the task immediately or check back. So you weren't following instructions, because those are 4 of the 5 steps of following instructions. So I'd bring that to their attention. And then I say, you know, when when you choose not to follow instructions the first time that they're given to you, then we have to take this extra time to work on correcting your negative behavior. What you should have done was, and then I'm going to list what they should have done. I'm going to talk to them about the skills, the pieces to those skills. And this is going to be key. So I'm not talking about the room. I'm not talking about whether it's clean or dirty and whether they should have to do it or not should have to do it. I'm saying I'm the adult authority. I have parental authority. I'm giving you an instruction. These are your skills. These are your steps to doing that instruction. And if you don't do it, we're going to talk about the steps you missed. And then we're going to let you do it again. And we're going to have some other practice because you're going to get the opportunity to accept a consequence and you're going to earn an extra chore. I tell them what happened, describe what happened, why it wasn't a good idea, what should have happened. And then we talk about what they've earned. And then we do some additional practices to prepare them for further success in the future. So that's the way that you do a proper correction for just a regular run-of-the-mill behavior. Now, I know that there are many people thinking, yeah, but what if it's not run-of-the-mill? What if your child goes completely ballistic, out of control, or they start hurting other people and acting like they're possessed by some demon and that they don't care? That's why I think they're a narcissist. Okay, well, that could be rage behavior, and it could be that you need a more intensive teaching skill to handle that. So I did deal with those types of behaviors where people were pulling knives, where they were self-harming, they were doing all kinds of stuff in my home because of their baggage that they were in my home to work on when we were doing treatment foster care for them. And I had to have a system in place to help get them calm when they weren't calm. And I want to share that system with you. So calmness is super important. Because you've stayed to the end of this video, I would like to give you my free Calm Parenting Toolkit. So right now, if you click the link in the description below this video that goes to teachselfgov.com/toolkit, then you will get the Calm Parenting Toolkit for free. That Calm Parenting Toolkit has 10 lessons in it that will take you step by step through getting control of your own calmness and helping them get control of their calmness at the same time. So click on the link in the description below and I will see you on the Calm Parenting Toolkit.